The auditorium fell into a stunned, choking silence. Only moments earlier, the buzz of proud families and the clicking of iPhone cameras had filled the air as the graduating class of Riverbend High filed onto the stage. A sea of caps, gowns, and balloons. Then it happened. 2 uniformed security guards stood planted near the back aisle. One, red-faced and stiff, pointed toward a man in a decorated dress blue uniform seated in the 3rd row. The other whispered something into a walkie-talkie. "Sir, you need to leave." Heads turned. A mother paused mid-cheer. A few students on stage froze. The man they were addressing blinked slowly, clearly confused. His name tag read Holloway, and rows of ribbons stretched across his chest, Navy Cross, Bronze Star, multiple combat deployments. "I'm here for my son's graduation," he said. His voice was low and steady. Controlled. He rose to his feet slowly, as if giving them time to back off. They didn't. "You're not listed on the school's guest registry. We've had complaints. You need to step outside," the first guard said louder, glancing toward the principal, who stood frozen behind the podium. "I'm Master Sergeant Holloway. U.S. Marine Corps," the man replied. "My son's name is Elijah Holloway. He's valedictorian." More silence. One woman in the audience muttered, "Oh my God." Another father began filming. Still, the guards pressed in. That's when the auditorium doors at the back opened with a thud. 5 men entered in perfect formation. Suits and shades. Broad shoulders. Quiet power. Navy SEALs, anyone with a military background would have recognized it instantly. They moved straight down the aisle without hesitation. One of them, tall and dark-skinned, looked straight at the guards. "Is there a problem here?" Nobody answered. "Good," the SEAL said, standing beside Holloway now. "Then we'll take our seats." You could hear a pin drop. A few people clapped. Then more. The audience swelled with confusion and awe, murmurs growing like a rising tide. Cameras panned to catch it all. The principal leaned toward the mic, visibly shaken. Then a boy on stage locked eyes with the man below. Elijah Holloway. He stepped forward to the microphone. And before a single word left his lips, before anyone could make sense of what they'd just witnessed, a piercing alarm rang out through the auditorium. It wasn't over. 6 months earlier, the early morning sky above Jacksonville was the color of wet concrete. Travis Holloway moved quietly through his kitchen, the way he always had since his wife died. He'd wake up early, make black coffee, and stand at the window just watching the sunrise bleed through the trees. His house was small, modest, but every inch had been touched by her hands, bookshelves, framed pictures, the handmade curtains she'd sewn before the cancer took her. He hadn't changed a thing in 4 years. His son, Elijah, was upstairs, probably still asleep or pretending to be. The boy was smart. Real smart. Top of his class since 6th grade, already accepted into Stanford, though Travis hadn't told anyone that yet. He didn't want to jinx it. They didn't talk much lately. Not because they didn't love each other. They just lived in different kinds of silence. Travis's was shaped by war. Elijah's, by grief. The doorbell rang. Travis tensed. It was 6:03 a.m. He walked to the front door and opened it slowly. A tall white man in khakis and a windbreaker stood there, his face all neighborly grin and forced politeness. "Morning," the man said. "You're Travis, right?" "That's right. I'm Don Whitmore. I live around the corner, on Fern Drive. Just wanted to stop by and mention something. About the flags." Travis frowned. His Marine flag and American flag hung proudly on the porch. "What about them?" he asked. Don laughed nervously. "No problem with patriotism. Just, with everything going on these days, some neighbors have been asking if you might, tone it down a little." Travis didn't answer. Just stared. Don cleared his throat. "It's just, the military decals on the truck, too. And I think someone saw you out there with a rifle case a while back?" "That's my duty weapon," Travis said. "I served 20 years in the Corps. 2 tours in Afghanistan. 3 in Iraq. I carry legal." Don shifted. Right. Just, some of the kids around here might not know that." "You mean white kids?" Travis said quietly. Don looked uncomfortable. "It's not like that." Travis took a step forward. "You came to my door at 6 in the morning to ask a black Marine to take down his flag because it makes white people uncomfortable. And you think I'm the problem?" Don raised his hands. "Just passing along what I heard. No hard feelings." He backed away fast, down the steps and into his Audi. Travis closed the door slowly, his jaw tight. Later that week, Elijah found a flyer in his locker, affirmative action hero, straight A's or just black. Someone had scrawled, "Not so special now, huh?" in red Sharpie on his calculus notebook. He didn't tell his dad. He didn't want to add weight to the man's shoulders. But Travis saw it in his son's eyes. The same tired defensiveness he wore in his own. The kind you develop from walking into rooms where people look at you like you don't belong. One night, after dinner, Elijah finally asked, "Why didn't you retire near base? Where people get it? Why stay here?" Travis leaned back in his chair. "Because if we don't hold space, they'll keep taking it. And because I want you to graduate knowing you belonged here. That you earned it?" Elijah nodded, not entirely convinced. But the seed was planted. Things escalated in small, cruel ways. The school accidentally left Travis's name off the parent email list. Elijah's scholarship paperwork was misfiled. At one point, a counselor suggested that Stanford might be a stretch and that maybe Florida State would be a better fit. Elijah, who had a 4.3 GPA, never missed a class, and was class president. When Travis showed up to a parent-teacher meeting, the principal met him in the parking lot. "Mr. Holloway, could we schedule an appointment instead?" "I did schedule one. I mean, a different time." "Why?" "I just think it would be easier for everyone if we—" Travis didn't let him finish. He turned and walked into the building. That night, he called someone he hadn't spoken to in a while. "Briggs," he said when the line picked up. "You still in?" "Always. I might need a favor." The man on the other end was quiet for a second. "I'll bring the team." As graduation approached, Elijah buried himself in his valedictorian speech. He wanted to talk about perseverance. About legacy. About what it meant to rise without rage. But he also started having nightmares. About guards dragging his dad out in front of the whole school. About being silenced. Travis noticed. He didn't say anything. He just polished his dress blues. Quietly. Carefully. And when the big day came, he left the house early, metal ribbons perfectly aligned, posture like steel. In his mind, he went over the words he'd say if anyone questioned him. "My name is Travis Holloway. My son is graduating. I have earned the right to sit here." He never expected they'd actually do it. Not until he saw the guards walking toward him. Not until the words, "You need to leave," hit the air. And not until the doors opened behind him, and he heard the boots of his brothers. Then he knew, this wasn't just a graduation anymore. It was a reckoning. And the alarm had just begun to ring. The alarm blared through the auditorium like a warning shot. Shrill, sharp, unmistakable. Every face turned toward the exits. Parents clutched their kids. Students on stage looked to their teachers for direction. The moment that had already tipped into something strange now spiraled into full panic. Elijah stood frozen at the microphone, his valedictorian speech clutched in one hand. His eyes were locked on his father, still standing between the two guards and the row of SEALs who had materialized like ghosts out of war stories. The alarm echoed off the gym rafters, bouncing between confusion and fear. "Evacuate the building immediately," a distorted voice announced over the intercom. "This is not a drill." No one moved at first. Then one of the guards reached for Holloway's arm again, too fast, too aggressive, and suddenly the tall SEAL beside Travis stepped forward, calm but commanding. "Don't touch him," the SEAL said. "Not unless you're ready to wear cuffs yourself." That was when the second SEAL tapped his earpiece. "We got movement outside. SUVs. 3 of them. No markings." Travis turned to him. "Military?" "No. Civilian. But they're moving like they're on a schedule." Before anyone could respond, the fire doors at the back of the gym slammed open. 2 men in plain clothes entered. They weren't school staff. They didn't wear any kind of badge. One of them scanned the room like he was assessing threats. The other spoke into a radio clipped under his jacket. "Let's move," Briggs said under his breath. The 5 SEALs formed a perimeter around Travis without a word. It was practiced. Lived in. They weren't just bodyguards, they were brothers. They had seen combat together. Bled for each other. And now, whatever this was, they were treating it like a mission. "Dad?" Elijah called, voice cracking through the mic. Travis looked up. Time stretched. "I'm okay," he said, but his voice was drowned out by the alarm. Briggs locked eyes with Travis. "We need to leave. Now." But Travis didn't move. Not yet. Not until he was sure Elijah was safe. And not until he knew what the hell was going on. 6 months earlier, Briggs had been off-grid, working private security in Bahrain. His phone lit up with the contact name he never ignored, Holloway. It was a short call. But the meaning was clear. They'd all heard about what happened to Holloway's wife. Breast cancer, stage 4. She was gone in less than a year. After that, Holloway disappeared from most of their lives, moving to a sleepy Florida suburb to raise Elijah alone. He never asked for anything. Until now. And when Briggs asked what was going on, Travis gave the most Holloway answer possible: "Nothing I can't handle. Just don't want to handle it alone." That was all it took. Within days, 4 of them flew back stateside. All former SEALs. All with careers, lives, families. But when Travis Holloway called, you showed up. Still, none of them expected what they found. Jacksonville wasn't some war-torn city or hostile base. It was quiet. Beautiful, even. But the undercurrent was unmistakable. Every grocery store checkout pause. Every fake smile. Every side-eyed glance when Travis walked in with his uniform. Every coded phrase from school staff. There was a rot beneath the calm, and it wasn't subtle. Briggs had seen racism before. Overseas. On base. Even back home. But this was something insidious. The kind where no one says the word out loud, but everyone knows exactly why a decorated black Marine is always asked to show ID twice. Worse, Elijah had started to fold in on himself. The kid who once wrote poetry and memorized world capitals now barely spoke outside of school. You know what they call me behind my back? Elijah said one night to Briggs, after dinner. What? Mr. Affirmative. Because they think I only got into Stanford because I'm black. Briggs shook his head. You got in because you're better than them. That's why they're scared. But Elijah didn't look comforted. He looked tired. That night, Briggs walked out to the porch where Travis sat nursing a coffee. We staying quiet? Briggs asked. For now. Why? Travis looked out into the dark. Because I want my son to have a clean finish. One thing. Just one thing in his life that doesn't get tainted. Briggs nodded. You think they'll let that happen? Travis didn't answer. He didn't have to. Back in the present, chaos pulsed through the auditorium like a live wire. Briggs motioned for 2 of his men to head toward the stage. Elijah stays in our sight, he said. One of the guards tried again. We're asking you to cooperate. Everyone's evacuating. You're making this harder than it has to be. Briggs stepped in front of Travis. We've got evac covered. He's with us. Who are you? The guard demanded. Briggs didn't answer. He didn't need to. The way the 5 of them moved, how they communicated without words, how the other veterans in the room instinctively understood, they weren't some ragtag crew. These were Tier 1 operatives. Then the 2 men in plain clothes moved closer, hands still near their sides. One of them flashed something, briefly, under his jacket. A black badge. Not police. Federal. Briggs saw it. Travis did too. FBI? Travis asked. The man didn't answer directly. We need to talk. Outside. Now. Briggs stepped in again. That's not happening. Not with an active alarm, and not until you tell us what you're doing here. The agent leaned in. This is bigger than your son's graduation. And if you don't come with us, you're going to wish you had. Travis's face didn't move. You threatening me? No, the man said. I'm protecting you. Behind them, Elijah still hadn't left the stage. He hadn't spoken a word since the alarm. He was watching it all unfold like a movie he didn't audition for. Then, over the intercom again, shelter in place. Lock all doors. This is not a drill. Panic flared again. A teacher grabbed the mic. Students, return to your seats. Everyone else, stay calm and sit down. But the audience was already breaking. Some ran for the exits. Others clung to their families. Elijah stepped back from the mic, dropping his speech on the floor. Travis made a decision. Elijah, he called out. Get down here. Now. Briggs motioned. 2 SEALs moved to flank the boy as he jumped off the stage and hurried down the aisle. As he reached his father, he whispered, What's happening? I don't know, Travis said. But we're not leaving without answers. The FBI agents were on the move again, this time pulling radios, speaking in code. Then a new voice came through the intercom. It was garbled, distorted, like someone had hijacked the system. You want heroes? We'll show you what happens to your heroes. Everyone stopped. The line crackled again. This is justice. The lights went out. Blackness swallowed the gym. And for the first time in years, Travis Holloway felt the familiar, cold pulse of combat rise in his chest. This wasn't about a graduation anymore. Someone had declared war. The darkness wasn't still. It moved, it breathed. People gasped and shuffled, their shapes barely visible in the low emergency lighting that kicked in near the exit signs. Somewhere toward the back of the auditorium, a chair scraped the floor. A child whimpered. Then, glass shattered. A scream followed. Flashlights. Briggs barked. 2 SEALs had already pulled tactical lights from their belts. White beams cut through the dark. The agents were gone. God damn it, Briggs growled. Travis had his arm around Elijah's shoulders. The boy was trembling, trying not to show it. Look at me, Travis said, crouching to Elijah's level. You all right? Elijah nodded, eyes darting around the chaos. Stay next to me. No matter what. The emergency lighting pulsed again, flickering dim red across the gym. Travis scanned the exits. The SEALs formed a triangle around them, bodies turned outward, hands on hips, close to concealed weapons. From the stage, the intercom cracked to life again. That same voice, slow and venomous. You cheer for soldiers who kill in other countries, then let them rot in this one. This is your legacy. This is your blood price. The voice was male. Young. White, Travis guessed. It was distorted through some kind of filter. But the anger was sharp and real. Not aimless. Focused. Where's that coming from? Briggs muttered. He motioned to the ceiling speakers. School systems hacked? More than that, said Shaw, the youngest of the SEALs. Power grids isolated. This wasn't some punk with a walkie-talkie. Travis's instincts kicked in. So what's the play? Evac's not an option, Briggs said. Too many civilians. Whoever's behind this wants a show. If we run, they'll give it to M. Then we end the show, Travis replied. A thud echoed behind the curtains of the stage. Movement, one SEAL whispered. They rotated, keeping Travis and Elijah in the center. More screams rippled through the room. Another thud, closer this time. The voice came back. You wear your medals like they make you human. Like you didn't come back broken. Travis exhaled slowly. They want me, he said. Not Elijah. Not the crowd. This is about me. You sure? Briggs asked. They're quoting my record. Briggs's jaw tightened. That narrows it down. No, Travis said. It doesn't. The curtain at the back of the stage fluttered. Something moved behind it. A flare dropped from the rafters and hissed to life, flooding the room in violent red light. That's when the shooter stepped forward. He wasn't dressed in black tactical gear or body armor. He wore a hoodie, jeans, and a black bandana over his mouth. He held a semi-auto shotgun low, casual but controlled. And he walked like he had nowhere else to be. Elijah gasped. The shooter turned his head toward the boy's voice. Elijah Holloway, he said. Calm. Clear. Not through the speaker this time. In the flesh. Elijah froze. How do you know me? The shooter tilted his head. I've been watching. Your essays. Your speeches. Your daddy's stories. You're the legacy. Travis took a step forward, but Briggs pulled him back. Let me, Briggs said. He raised his hands and walked halfway up the aisle, never taking his eyes off the gun. What's your name? Briggs asked. His voice was calm, but forceful, the way only men trained to disarm a bomb with words can speak. The shooter grinned under his mask. Names don't matter. They will when someone buries you, Briggs said. The shooter raised the gun. But didn't fire. Instead, he pointed it at the ceiling and pulled the trigger. The blast thundered through the gym. Everyone screamed. Dust fell from the rafters. A girl near the front fainted. Then the shooter pointed the weapon back at Briggs. You think you scare me? The shooter said. You trained to kill for the government. I was raised in a country that kills people like me for fun. Briggs's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? I'm white, the shooter said. And I know exactly what it means. I see it. The whole damn system's built to give me power. And I still lost everything. But he pointed at Travis, he comes home a hero. Medals. Honors. He doesn't deserve them. Travis stepped forward. My wife's buried in a veteran's cemetery. I held my friend's guts in my hands while a bomb went off outside Baghdad. You think I wanted any of this? The shooter hesitated. Just long enough. One of the SEALs launched forward from the left. Fast. Silent. The shooter fired. The round hit the ground inches from Briggs. The SEAL dropped behind the stage curtain. Chaos broke out again. Parents ran. Kids trampled folding chairs. A second shot rang out, missing high. Screams cascaded like dominoes. Then, another gun. Not the shooter's. A clean, sharp report from near the main doors. The shooter jerked, stumbled back, and hit the stage floor hard. A woman stood at the top of the aisle. Late 30s. Short afro. Military posture. Sidearm drawn. Travis recognized her instantly. Anna? She nodded once. Missed the damn speech, didn't I? Elijah's mouth dropped. Who are you? My sister, Travis said. Then he crouched down beside the shooter, who was groaning and holding his leg. Why me? Travis asked again. What made you come here? The shooter looked up, eyes wild. Because you're the lie they keep telling. The good one. The exception. I wanted to show them the truth. You're not better. You just wore a uniform. He coughed blood. And because I knew they'd come, he said, nodding at the SEALs. And I wanted to see what happened when they saw me. Travis stood. I saw you. And I see through you. The shooter passed out. Silence returned, shaky, stunned silence. Then someone clapped. Just one person. Then another. And another. Until the whole room echoed with it. Not for the shooter. Not even for the SEALs. But for the boy who stepped back to the podium. Elijah Holloway. He picked up the crumpled speech, shook out the fold, and began to read. His voice trembled but didn't break. This is not the story I meant to tell today. But maybe it's the one we needed to hear. And the room went still again. Waiting. Listening. Because this was no longer just a graduation. It was history. Elijah stood alone behind the microphone, the folded paper trembling slightly in his hand. His voice had found steadiness, but his eyes were still wide, still stunned from what had just happened. This was supposed to be a speech about dreams, he said quietly. About hard work, and honor, and how none of us get here alone. The gym was still lit in a dark red hue from the emergency lights. A few parents had ushered kids out already, but most people stayed. Not because anyone told them to, but because something bigger than fear had settled in the room. Something rare. A truth they didn't want to miss. Elijah looked up and met his father's eyes. But what do you say, he continued, when someone pulls a gun in the middle of your moment? When someone says you didn't earn this? That you're just a symbol. A story that doesn't belong to you. No one moved. Not the SEALs. Not the teachers. Not the guards. You say this, Elijah said. His voice rose, sharpened. You say, I did earn this. And I'm not leaving because someone else hates the sound of my name being called in pride. He took a breath. The tears came, but he didn't blink them away. My father is a Marine. My mother died believing I'd change this world. And I'm not gonna waste that. I refuse to be smaller to make somebody else feel taller. From somewhere in the middle of the audience, someone whispered, damn right. Elijah's shoulders squared. I was going to end this speech by saying thank you. To my teachers. My friends. To my dad. And I still will. He looked straight at Travis again. But more than anything, I want to thank the people who tried to scare me. The room shifted, not in noise but in weight. Because now I know exactly what kind of man I want to be. And it's not someone who hides. It's someone who stands. He dropped the mic. Not theatrically. Just, finished. And the gym erupted. This time it wasn't polite applause. It was something bigger. Cathartic. Righteous. The kind of clapping people do when they know a line's just been drawn in history, and they're damn glad they were in the room when it happened. Travis stood still, watching his son through the noise. Briggs slapped his shoulder. You raised a lion, brother. Travis didn't answer. His throat was too tight. He just nodded once and blinked hard. An hour later, the cops had taken the shooter into custody. Anna stayed behind to file a statement, and the SEALs did the same. Half the school was locked down, half evacuated. It was a mess. But Elijah's graduation was officially over. Outside, the early evening air was thick and warm. Sirens flickered in the distance, but the worst had passed. Parents gathered in the parking lot, clinging to their kids. News vans began arriving, but Travis walked right past them with his hand on Elijah's shoulder. They didn't say anything for a while. Then, finally, Elijah spoke. Was all this my fault? Travis stopped walking. He turned his son toward him and held his shoulders firm. No. Listen to me. None of this is your fault. He came for you. Because of me. No, Travis said, more forcefully this time. He came because hate doesn't need a reason. It just needs a target. And today, we showed him we don't move when hate tells us to. Elijah looked down. I was scared. I was too, Travis admitted. Hell, I was terrified. Elijah's eyes widened. You? I've been shot at, bombed, hunted, but nothing scares me more than not being able to protect you. They stood there, the two of them. Just a father and son holding each other up in the parking lot of a high school that would never forget this day. Then Anna joined them, flipping her badge closed. Shooters in custody. FBI's involved now. They'll try to twist it, sanitize it, turn it into a lone wolf story. What's his name? Elijah asked. Bryce Kendall, she said. 22. Local. Dropped out of community college. Online forums, white nationalism, manifesto on his hard drive. Standard playbook. So he planned this? Travis asked. Anna nodded. Every second. He wanted the graduation because it was public. Wanted you here because you represented everything he hated. Briggs stepped over, arms crossed. We need to talk, Travis. Go ahead. Shooter didn't act alone. Travis stiffened. Briggs continued. I checked the exits. Power access was cut internally. Building's alarm system rerouted. This was coordinated. Anna sighed. He had help? Briggs nodded. At least 2 people. Tech-savvy. Probably never entered the building. But they knew your background, Holloway. They knew who'd show up if someone threatened your kid. You think they wanted us? Travis asked. I think this was bait. The silence between them was thick. Elijah looked between the three of them. You're saying this isn't over? Anna didn't sugarcoat it. I'm saying someone tried to send a message. And they're not done. Elijah's face hardened, a look Travis had never seen in him before. Then I want to learn. Learn what? Travis asked. Elijah turned to him. What you know. How to fight. How to stand. You've always protected me. Maybe it's time I protect something too. You don't need to carry this, Travis said, pained. I fought so you wouldn't have to. But I do, Elijah said. Not with a gun. But with more than just speeches. Briggs glanced at Anna, then back to Travis. We've got time before they strike again. Maybe months. Maybe less. Travis looked at his son. His boy, now taller than him. Eyes like his mother's. Heart like fire. Then we train, he said. He meant it. Because somewhere out there, more shadows were waiting. But they'd be ready. Elijah's bedroom looked the same, but everything felt different. The bookshelf still held the same framed photo of his mom, smiling in the sunlight from a family trip to Tybee Island. His desk still had his old model rockets, the AP study guides, his Stanford acceptance letter thumbtacked crooked above the lamp. But when he sat down that night, the quiet didn't comfort him like it used to. There was a weight now. Not just from what happened at graduation, but from what came after. His dad hadn't gone back to pacing the house. He was making calls. Quiet ones. Measured. Then he locked the garage door from the inside. Briggs disappeared for an hour and came back with a silver briefcase, which he passed to Anna without a word. The SEALs hadn't left yet. They weren't just hanging around. They were preparing. It wasn't paranoia. It was protocol. And Elijah realized for the first time, the world he thought he knew, the one where you do your homework, keep your head down, rise by merit, had rules that didn't apply to people like his father. Or him. That night, long after everyone went quiet, Elijah crept down the stairs in socks, barefoot silent. The garage door was cracked open. He pushed it gently. Inside, Travis was at the workbench. In his undershirt. Hands wrapped around a worn-out field manual. Gear laid out across the table, old, well-used, and neatly kept, a knife sharpener, a tactical belt, an encrypted phone, a thumb drive in a black keychain case. You're not sleeping, Travis said without turning. Neither are you, Elijah answered. You shouldn't be seeing all this yet. But I did, Elijah said. I saw all of it. Travis finally looked at him. That's the problem, son. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Then teach me. Travis studied him for a long moment. Why? Because they were going to kill you, Elijah said. And they knew I'd be watching. Travis's face twitched just slightly, his control fraying for half a second. I don't want to carry a gun, Elijah added. I just want to understand. What you did over there. What made you come back and stay quiet for so long? Travis sighed. He walked over to a small black case in the corner, opened it, and pulled out a folded, sweat-stained map. He unfolded it across the workbench. Fallujah, he said. 04, this road right here, they called it Purple Heart Alley. I watched 4 of my brothers die in one day. Elijah didn't say anything. I never talk about it. Because if I do, I have to admit something. What? That I left part of myself there. And the part that came back? It didn't belong anywhere. He tapped the map again. But then your mom got sick. And I had to become someone else. Someone you could trust. Someone you could belong to. Elijah looked down. I never wanted you to need this world, Travis said quietly. But if it's coming for you anyway, then yeah. I'll teach you. 3 days later, the SEALs were still in town. They operated from a safe house 10 minutes away, quiet, suburban, rented under an alias. Inside, maps covered the wall. Dossiers. Surveillance photos. A shot of Bryce Kendall's car parked outside a house 2 weeks before the graduation. They weren't waiting on the FBI. Briggs gathered everyone in the living room of the Holloway house, including Anna, Elijah, and Travis. Bryce Kendall didn't act alone, he said again. We traced digital activity on the school's network. Someone remote disabled firewalls, pulled entry logs, and ran facial recognition. That's not your average forum junkie. Anna stood and clicked a remote. A photo filled the TV screen. Blurry, taken from a ring cam. A young woman, pale, black hoodie, walking up to a mailbox. This is Maya Jernigan. 26. Used to be a computer science major at Georgia Tech, dropped out. She's been flagged by 3 federal watch lists in the past year. She was living with Kendall until 3 months ago. Wait, Elijah said. You think she planned it with him? Briggs nodded. We think she was the architect. He clicked again. A grainy image of a laptop screen. Her online alias is Aegis Red. She's linked to at least 4 white nationalist groups online. But she's different. Not just loud. She's surgical. Quiet. She builds the tools. Lets others do the dirty work. So where is she now? Travis asked. Off-grid. But we tracked her to a data center in Tallahassee 2 weeks ago. She accessed the school's records, and possibly more. Travis's expression hardened. You think she's planning another attack? I think she's planning several, Briggs said. And I think Jacksonville was a trial run. Anna spoke next. If she's targeting decorated black veterans or their families, this isn't about revenge. This is a movement. And we just put a dent in it, Briggs added. Which means she'll come harder next time. They all looked to Travis. He nodded once. Then we finish what she started. The training began the next morning. Not with weapons. Not with gear. With questions. Briggs met Elijah on the porch at 6 a.m., sat beside him with 2 mugs of coffee. You ready? Yeah. You scared? Elijah hesitated. Yeah. Good, Briggs said. Means you're not stupid. They started with situational awareness. How to read a room. How to memorize exits. How to slow your heart rate under pressure. Every lesson was small, but it added up. Over the next week, Elijah ran drills with the team, mental puzzles, obstacle courses, even a simulation using VR gear. He wasn't training to be a soldier. He was training to survive. But as the sun set on the 7th day, a new piece of the puzzle dropped. Anna burst through the Holloway's front door with her phone held up. She just posted, she said. Everyone crowded around. On screen, a grainy live stream, dark background, voice scrambled. But the words were clear. To those who think they're untouchable, you failed. But this wasn't about one graduation. Or one soldier. Or one speech. This is about burning down the myth. Brick by brick. Then a flicker of an image. A Stanford logo. The stream cut off. Elijah's stomach dropped. She's going after the campus, he said. Stanford. This fall. Travis grabbed his gear bag. No, Briggs said, stepping in. She's not waiting for fall. She's making her move now. Travis's eyes met Anna's. We've got a flight in 4 hours, she said. Elijah stood. I'm coming with you. No, Travis said instantly. Yes, Elijah replied. You taught me to stand. Now let me. For a second, it looked like Travis might shout. But he didn't. He just nodded. Slowly. And said the words no father ever wants to say. Then get ready. Because next time, they're not just coming for me. The plane cut through the sky under cover of night, the soft hum of its engines the only sound as Travis stared out the window. Below, cities glowed like veins of fire under darkened skin. But his mind wasn't on the view. It was on the countdown. They had 36 hours. Maybe less. Stanford's summer programs had already begun. Thousands of students and faculty were on campus. Elijah should have been one of them, attending an early honors seminar. Now that invitation felt like a bullet dodged. Or maybe just delayed. Across the aisle, Elijah sat between Anna and Briggs. His hands fidgeted in his lap, trying to stay calm, trying not to show how deeply this shook him. But his eyes kept drifting to the man his father used to be, the one he was now seeing fully for the first time. Not just a soldier. A protector. And now, maybe, a target again. You okay? Anna asked softly. Elijah nodded, then hesitated. Yeah. I think so. You don't have to be, she said. Being brave isn't the same as being numb. Briggs leaned in. You're doing better than most rookies I've trained. I'm not trying to be a soldier, Elijah said. No, Travis said from across the aisle, but you're learning how not to break. They landed in Oakland just before dawn, and drove the last hour in 2 black SUVs, rented under phony names, paid in cash. The SEALs used burner phones, communicated by signal. It was a controlled chaos Travis hadn't lived in for years. But his body remembered. So did Anna's. At the Stanford perimeter, Briggs made the call. They wouldn't alert campus security. Not yet. If Maya Jernigan had hacked the high school system in Jacksonville, she could easily monitor police and emergency response chatter here. One wrong move could spook her, and they'd lose her again. Small team only, Briggs said. No uniforms. No press. We move like shadows. Same approach as Kandahar? One of the SEALs asked. Travis grunted. Kandahar didn't have drones and Wi-Fi. Briggs smiled. Then we improvise. Maya Jernigan sat in the corner of an abandoned co-op house just 3 blocks from campus. The blinds were taped down. A desktop computer hummed beside her. Cables ran from it like veins into a mess of routers and encrypted drives. On her screen, 3 campus cameras played on loop, the library entrance, the student union, and the engineering quad. She sipped coffee, typed, watched, and waited. The plan was simple. Not a bombing. Not a shooting. Something more permanent. A total system wipe of Stanford's administrative servers, student records, financial aid, admission data, followed by a flood of forged data and manifestos. Hundreds of false identities inserted. Dozens of black and brown students erased digitally. Their scholarships, their histories, gone. Replaced by viral clips that would make them look like frauds. Like plants. Like lies. It wouldn't just ruin reputations. It would feed a beast that had been starved since the last failed uprising. They'd tried noise. Now they were going to try erasure. Maya didn't blink. Didn't waver. Elijah Holloway's name was on the list. And soon, it would vanish. By mid-morning, Travis's team was in position. Elijah, wearing a Stanford hoodie, moved through campus like any other early summer student. Backpack on. Head down. A small mic pinned beneath his collar, connected to Anna's signal. Status? Briggs's voice came in. North Quad. No tails. Lots of students, Anna replied. I'm heading for the data center building, Elijah said into the mic, his voice a little too tight. You sure? Travis asked. Elijah didn't hesitate. She picked Stanford because she knew I'd be watching. Maybe because she wanted me here. Travis gritted his teeth. Elijah, remember what I told you. Stay alert. Stay soft. Stay standing. Good, Travis said. Now keep moving. From across campus, the SEALs were triangulating signals, cross-referencing unusual IP traffic, pinging burner devices, hunting digital shadows. Briggs worked a mobile rig from the back of their SUV. We've got a node blinking 2 blocks east, he said. Non-campus network. Could be her. Sending coordinates. Travis and Anna converged fast. Elijah, following their path, cut down a side street past the bookstore. That's when he saw it. A young woman, slim, hoodie pulled low, slipping out of a side alley and vanishing through a back door in an old fraternity house that had been closed for renovations. Her face was mostly covered, but he caught a flash of bright red on her shoes. Aegis red, he whispered. Elijah? Anna's voice crackled. I see her, he said. She's inside an old co-op house on Hamilton Way. Door just closed behind her. Do not enter alone, Travis said, already moving. We're 2 minutes out. Do you hear me? Elijah didn't answer. Because the door was open now. And someone inside was watching him. A second figure. Male. Also masked. Also armed. Travis's blood ran cold. Elijah. Go back. Right now. But Elijah didn't run. He raised his phone, pretending to take a selfie, and angled the lens just enough to catch the second figure's face through the slats of the window. The man ducked too late. Briggs confirmed the image 30 seconds later. That's Zachary Voss. Proud Nation Militia. Wanted in 2 states. He's not just muscle, he's leadership. Then we've got a cell, Travis growled. Not just a pair. Anna was already pulling her weapon. But it was Elijah who made the next move. He walked across the lawn. Slowly. Casually. As if nothing was happening at all. And the front door opened for him. Maya stood in the doorway. You're braver than I thought, she said. I get that a lot, Elijah replied. He stepped inside. The door shut. And the countdown began. The door latched behind him with a soft click, and Elijah Holloway was swallowed by stillness. Inside, the house was cooler than it should have been. Quiet, too quiet, except for the faint hum of electronics. The air smelled like soldered wires and moldy carpet. It felt like the kind of place where voices didn't carry, where things went missing and no one noticed. Maya Jernigan didn't rush him. She stood in the hallway, one hand casually resting on a light switch, though the lights were already off. Behind her, Zachary Voss loomed by a covered window, arms folded, watching Elijah like a problem he hadn't decided how to solve. You knew I'd come, Elijah said, his voice calm, though every part of him felt like live current. I counted on it, Maya replied. Curiosity's a trait. So is pride. Elijah scanned the room. His earpiece had gone dead the moment he crossed the threshold. Scrambled. They'd set up a jammer inside. He was alone. You don't need to do this, he said. See, that's the thing, Maya said, moving to a laptop that flickered beside a nest of cables. I already did. The uploads are pre-scheduled. At exactly 12:14 p.m., every major university in the Ivy League and Pac-12 will receive thousands of corrupted files. Data purges. Rewrites. And a little message. Elijah narrowed his eyes. Why 12:14? She smiled. That's when your father pulled his unit out of Fallujah. I read his file. He doesn't talk about it, but we found the logs. You're turning that into a symbol? Symbols matter, she said. That's why they chose you. That's why the cameras were on you when your dad was nearly dragged out of your graduation. You're not a person to them. You're a headline. And I'm going to tear it down. Elijah stepped forward once. Zachary tensed but didn't move. You think you're disrupting power, Elijah said. But what you're doing? It's the same thing they tried to do to you. Erase you. Maya's face darkened. Don't pretend we're the same. You're right, he said. I didn't turn into what they said I was. And neither did my father. But you became exactly the story they want told. She didn't flinch. Behind her, Zachary moved toward a locked metal case on the floor. Opened it. Inside, several hard drives, tagged and labeled, wires still attached. Live. Elijah took one slow breath. Every second he kept them talking was a second closer to his father breaking through that door. They'll blame this on everything except the truth, Elijah said. They'll call you foreign. Radical. Insane. But I'll know what you were, afraid. Maya laughed, but there was no joy in it. You're giving a speech in the middle of your own funeral. He nodded toward the computer. What if I shut it down? You won't get the chance. Zachary stepped forward now, gun low but unholstered. Let's end this. But before he could raise it, boom. The front door shattered inward. Smoke filled the hallway. Flashbang. Elijah dropped to the ground instinctively, hands over his ears. Chaos erupted. Travis burst through first, followed by Anna, Briggs, and 2 SEALs in tactical gear. They moved with precision, slicing through the fog of the grenade. Zachary swung the weapon up, but Travis already had his drawn. Don't, he barked. Zachary hesitated. Too long. Briggs fired a single shot into his knee. He dropped like stone. Maya tried to yank a drive from the machine, but Anna was on her, twisting her arm, slamming her face first into the tile floor. It was over in seconds. Elijah sat up slowly, blinking through the fog. Travis was suddenly beside him, gripping his shoulders. Are you hit? I'm good, Elijah said. His voice cracked, not from fear but adrenaline. I stalled them. I think I stalled them long enough. Briggs checked the system. Uploads locked. 10 seconds left. Give me a blade. He ripped the main power line from the unit. The screens went black. The timer froze. 12 hours 13 minutes and 57 seconds. Travis let out a breath. 3 seconds to spare. Anna secured Maya's wrists, then turned to Elijah. I told you not to play hero. I didn't, Elijah said. I played son. That silenced the room. The FBI arrived 20 minutes later. This time, Travis let them in. He didn't say much. Neither did Anna. Briggs handled the handoff, gave just enough information to stay in control of the story. The SEALs disappeared before the first squad car pulled up. Off the grid again, like ghosts. Maya didn't speak during the arrest. She didn't protest. But when the agents dragged her past Elijah, she locked eyes with him. 3 seconds, she said. Next time, you won't be lucky. There won't be a next time, he said. She smiled. And then she was gone. Later that night, back in a motel room on the outskirts of town, Travis sat with his son, just the two of them. The sky outside was purple with dusk. Quiet. Still. Elijah was quiet for a long time. Then, do you think we stopped it? Really stopped it? No, Travis said. But we slowed it down. And that's sometimes the best you can do. I was terrified, Elijah admitted. Good, Travis said. If you weren't, I'd worry I raised a fool. Elijah laughed once. Then leaned his head back against the bed. I never want to do that again. You probably will, Travis said. In some way. Not like this. But standing up always brings someone looking to knock you down. Elijah looked over. You're proud of me? Travis didn't answer right away. Then, I've always been proud of you. But today? He reached into his duffel bag. Pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a medal. Bronze Star. Travis placed it in Elijah's hand. I wanted to give this to you before graduation, he said. Didn't feel right. Now it does. Elijah stared at it. Not because of what it was. But because of who it was from. Outside, a siren wailed faintly in the distance. But inside, father and son sat in silence. Together. Unbroken. The plane touched down in Jacksonville just after sunrise. The sky was washed in gold, the kind of soft morning light that feels like a clean start. But Travis Holloway knew better than to believe in clean starts. Not after what they'd been through. Not when the war followed you home. Elijah slept most of the flight back, head leaned against the window. He hadn't let go of the Bronze Star. Not once. Not even when he dozed off. Travis watched him in those quiet hours, half relieved, half uneasy. His son had stepped into something irreversible, and handled it like a man. But he shouldn't have had to. Briggs stayed behind on the West Coast to coordinate with federal contacts. Anna flew back to D.C. to brief the Joint Terrorism Task Force. The team had splintered the moment the job was done. Like always. No celebration. No parade. Just a quiet disappearance, as if nothing ever happened. But Travis felt the tension in his bones. Something was off. When they got home, the air felt wrong. The door was locked, but not the way Travis left it. The latch was loose, the deadbolt scratched. The yard looked untouched, but the porch light had burned out, even though he'd changed the bulb last week. "Stay here," Travis said as he pulled the truck into the driveway. Elijah stirred. "Why?" "Just sit tight." He moved quietly to the front door. Checked the edges. Nothing broken, but something subtle had been disturbed. He stepped inside slowly, scanning. Nothing looked out of place. And that was the problem. Travis checked the living room, the kitchen, the basement. Clean. He moved to the garage. Still clean. But when he opened the attic pull-down ladder, a thin wire snapped loose and landed at his feet. Not a tripwire. A sensor. He climbed halfway up and peered in with a flashlight. There, in the far corner, a small square of black plastic. A listening device. Barely bigger than a thumb. They'd been watched. Tracked. Again. He pulled it free and crushed it in his hand. Back downstairs, Elijah was standing on the porch. "Dad? Someone's been here," Travis said. "Not the same people. Different method. Quiet. Professional." Elijah's face tightened. "How long?" Travis shook his head. "No way to know." Elijah looked out at the neighborhood, those quiet lawns, the same joggers, the same neighbors watering plants in their robes. Nothing looked dangerous. But everything felt wrong. "We need to go," Elijah said. "Now." But Travis didn't move. Not yet. He pulled out his phone and dialed. 3 rings. Briggs picked up. "You back?" he asked. "Yeah," Travis said. "And we've got company." Briggs didn't ask for details. He didn't need to. "Intel came in overnight," he said. Aegis Red wasn't working alone. Jernigan was part of a 5-person unit. Funded by a splinter network. White nationalists with digital ops capability. They're building a movement that doesn't wave flags, they write code. What do they want? To see doubt, Briggs said. Erase achievements. Undermine institutions. They can't win a race war in the streets, so they're trying to win it with keyboards. People like Elijah? They're targets because they contradict the lie. Travis's stomach turned. They planted a bug in my home. Then you're already in the next chapter, Briggs said. And it's going to get worse. He paused, then added, "There's more." "What?" "They've made Elijah's Stanford application public. Leaked it to a few alt-right news sites. Selectively edited." Travis closed his eyes. "They're setting him up. Trying to. But it's gaining traction. There's a campaign forming around it. Hashtags already trending." Travis hung up without another word. He turned to Elijah. "They leaked your application." Elijah blinked. "How?" "It was secure. I thought it was. They took parts of it. Stripped the context. Made it look like you wrote things you didn't." "Like what?" "That you got in because of your race. That you called the system rigged in favor of whiteness. That you were part of a radical group." Elijah staggered backward a step, like he'd been punched. "I never said any of that. I wrote about you. About service. About legacy." "I know," Travis said. "Doesn't matter." The phone buzzed again. This time it was Anna. Just one line. "Do not go online. Keep him offline. Things are exploding." But it was too late. Elijah had already opened his phone. And his face went white. Thousands of mentions. Tweets, videos, screenshots of his college essay, edited and twisted. Affirmative action fraud exposed. Black kid gets into Stanford by bashing white students. His dad's a Marine? Guest service doesn't teach respect. There were threats too. DMs, comments. Things no kid should ever read. "They're trying to kill me," Elijah whispered. "Not with bullets. With lies." "They won't win," Travis said. "You don't get it." Elijah snapped. "This is different. They're not attacking you. They're destroying me." Travis didn't flinch. "Which is why we stand. Even now. Especially now." Elijah gripped his phone tighter. "Then we fight. Not in the shadows. Not hiding. Publicly." Travis's jaw tightened. "That's what they want. You show your face again and they'll twist that too." "So what?" Elijah said. "We go silent and let them rewrite the truth?" "No," Travis said, voice low and dangerous. "We take the truth back. But on our terms." He paced. Thought. Then pulled out the crushed listening device from his pocket and stared at it. "They want to broadcast lies," he said. "Fine." He looked up at Elijah. "Let's give them something real." Elijah frowned. "What are you thinking?" "We go on camera," Travis said. "Together. You and me. One take. No edits. Just us." "Doing what?" "Setting the record straight." And what if it backfires? Elijah asked. Travis's eyes were calm now. Focused. Then we go down fighting with the truth. The recording was simple. No music. No fancy lighting. Just a father and son, sitting in the same living room where Elijah had studied for SATs, where his mother's photo still hung on the wall. Travis spoke first. My name is Travis Holloway. I served 20 years in the United States Marine Corps. This is my son, Elijah. He's not a symbol. He's not a fraud. He's not your scapegoat. He's mine, and I'm damn proud of him. Elijah leaned in. My name is Elijah Holloway. I earned my spot at Stanford. Not because I'm black. Not despite it. Because I worked for it. Because I wrote honestly. And because the people who raised me never taught me to kneel to a lie. Travis finished the message. If you're coming for him, then you're coming for me. And I promise, you're not ready for that. Then Elijah added one more line. And if you're afraid of my words, imagine what you're gonna feel when I find my voice. They uploaded the video. One take. No edits. And then they waited. The video went live at 6:12 p.m. By 6:20, it had 30,000 views. By 7:03, it crossed 100,000. By 8:15, it hit 1 million. And by midnight, the Holloways had gone viral for the second time, only this time, they controlled the story. It wasn't slick. It wasn't polished. There were no graphics, no sponsors, no filters. Just a father and son sitting in a quiet living room telling the truth. That's what caught people off guard. It didn't sound like a press release or a speech. It sounded like them. And people listened. This is what courage looks like, one comment read. His voice cracked when he said, he's mine. I haven't cried like that in years. But not everyone responded with support. Within the hour, the trolls came flooding back in, this time angrier, louder, more organized. Marine dad exploiting his kid for woke points. Guarantee they wrote that script together. Look at them smiling while they destroy real America. Travis didn't flinch. Elijah did. By 1 a.m., he was curled up on the floor of his room, eyes locked on his phone, watching as the hashtags spread like wildfire. Some defended him. Others tried to erase him again. Hashtag stand with Elijah. Hashtag stolen spots. Hashtag Holloway hoax. Hashtag hero or hustler. He wanted to shut it off. But he couldn't. This wasn't just happening to him. It was happening around him, with or without his permission. His silence hadn't protected him. His words had become weapons. Either he used them, or they would be used against him. Downstairs, Travis was making calls. To Anna. To Briggs. To an old contact in CyberIntel named Ro, a white hat hacker who once saved Travis's team by rerouting drone intel in Afghanistan. She's resurfaced, Ro said. Jernigan? No. Someone new. Same network. Different face. Calls herself Valkyrie 99. She's smarter than Jernigan. She's the one who leaked Elijah's file. And she's not backing off. Travis sat at the kitchen table, staring at his reflection in the black screen of the microwave. What's the play? He asked. We go on offense, Ro said. You give me 24 hours, I'll find her server. Maybe even her location. But once I do, you need to act fast. This kind of architecture collapses quickly when threatened. Good, Travis said. Because I'm tired of playing defense. The next morning, the media came knocking. Every outlet. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, NPR, even a segment request from Good Morning America. Elijah didn't leave the house. Reporters camped outside on the street. The same neighbors who'd called Travis too intense and unfriendly were now hovering at the edge of their driveways, watching history unfold from the comfort of their porches. Travis ignored them all. He waited for Ro. At 9:47 a.m., she called. I've got her. Where? South Carolina. Isolated network running from a converted barn on private property. I'm sending you coordinates now. She alone? No. This one's big. Could be the main server for the entire faction. Their funding, their archives, even their playbooks. You shut this down, you don't just stop the next leak, you cripple the whole damn machine. Travis stood. Send it to Briggs too. I already did. He paused. And Elijah? Ro's voice softened. He shouldn't come. Travis looked up toward the second floor. He could hear faint movement, his son pacing, again. He won't stay behind, Travis said. He's a kid, Ro replied. He's a target. He's also a Holloway, Travis said. And they've already made him part of this war. They hit the road that night. No fanfare. Just Travis, Elijah, and Briggs. 3 days. No electronics. No GPS. No phone signals. Just burner maps, printed documents, and an old Chevy Suburban that looked like it belonged to a retired contractor. They drove past the major cities, through pine country, until the trees got taller and the roads turned to gravel. By the time they reached the edge of the property, the sun was low and the wind had picked up. A cold front was moving in. The barn stood alone in the center of a field, surrounded by nothing but rusted fencing and overgrown brush. No visible guards. No lights. But Briggs knew better. "They've got motion sensors," he said. "See those fence posts? That's your grid. Step over it and you trip surveillance." "Can you cut it?" Travis asked. "Not without alerting them." Elijah stepped forward. "What if I go in first?" Briggs turned. "Absolutely not. I'm not saying I charge the front door. But look at me, I'm not who they're expecting. I can walk up to the fence, act like I'm lost. Let them come to me. If I can draw someone out, you can flank them." Travis looked at him. Hard. But Elijah didn't look away. "I'm not asking for permission," he said. "I'm saying I'm in this. Whether you like it or not." Briggs exhaled. "You sure he's not yours?" Travis gave a small, tired smile. Then nodded. "We'll cover you," he said. "You get 10 feet from that barn and you stop. Let them come to you. If anything goes wrong. I run like hell." Travis reached into his vest and handed Elijah a small transponder. "They'll jam radios. But this'll give me your exact position if they try to take you." Elijah swallowed, clipped it to his belt. Then stepped out into the field. The barn door opened before he reached the fence line. A woman stepped out. Young. Blonde. Slim build. Not Jernigan. But something about her felt familiar, calm, watchful, unreadable. "Elijah Holloway," she said. He froze. "We've been expecting you." Behind her, 2 more figures emerged from the shadows. Armed. No masks. No hesitation. He realized then. This wasn't about hiding anymore. This was the next move. And he had just walked into it. Elijah didn't blink. Didn't breathe too deep. The woman standing before him had a smile like a blade, sharp, cold, and already bloodied. "I'm Valkyrie," she said. "You've caused us quite a bit of trouble." 2 men stepped to her flanks. Tactical vests. ARs slung low. Military precision in their posture, but not military discipline. Freelancers, probably. Extremist mercs with just enough training to be dangerous, and just enough ignorance to think they'd live forever. Elijah took half a step back. "You know my name," he said carefully. "But you don't know who you're messing with." Valkyrie smiled wider. "Oh, I think I do. You're the boy who stood up when he was told to sit down. The speechmaker. The poster child. And now you're here, in my front yard, without a camera to protect you." Elijah's hand grazed the edge of the transponder clipped at his waist. They hadn't spotted it yet. "Good. You're not here to kill me," he said. "You're here to film it." Her face didn't move. That was the confirmation he needed. "They want proof," he said. "Proof I broke. That I'm weak. That I'm what they always said I was." "Not weak," Valkyrie said. "False." She waved to the men behind her. "Bring him in." They moved forward fast. But before they could reach him, before a single hand could land on his shoulder. Crack. A single suppressed shot rang out from the tree line. The man on the left dropped. Chest shot. Dead before he hit the ground. Valkyrie spun toward the sound, but the second man was already falling, shot through the leg. He screamed, dropping his weapon. From the tall grass behind Elijah, Briggs rose like a ghost in fatigues. Travis was 10 feet behind him, already moving in a low sprint, covering ground fast. He reached Elijah, pulled him behind a rusted trailer, and pushed his son to the dirt. "Stay low. Don't speak. Don't move unless I tell you." Briggs advanced on Valkyrie with weapon drawn. She didn't run. She raised both hands slowly. "You think this ends here?" she said calmly. "This barn is a node. One node. You haven't stopped anything. You've only confirmed that the Holloways are a threat." "Lady," Briggs said, "you just confirmed you're not smart enough to run from a live op." Behind him, Anna emerged from the far side of the field, flanking them, rifle up. "Perimeter secure," she said. "No reinforcements inbound. Surveillance jammers off. We've got a line." Briggs spoke into his comm move. "Now." 2 more SEALs, called in last minute from a secondary post, breached the barn with swift precision. No shots fired. Inside, for more people, laptops, high-speed drives, and servers. No resistance. Just a look of stunned disbelief. They hadn't expected anyone to come for them this fast. And certainly not with a teenager leading the charge. 3 hours later, the sun was up, and the field was crawling with unmarked SUVs. Federal agents had taken over the scene. Travis stood with arms crossed, watching Valkyrie being loaded into the back of a blacked-out van. Elijah sat on the bumper of the Suburban, sipping warm water. He was dirty, exhausted, and silent. His hands shook. Not out of fear, but adrenaline crash. Travis walked over. You okay? Elijah looked up. I didn't freeze. No, Travis said. You didn't. I thought I would. When she said my name, I thought I'd fall apart. You've already done that, Travis said. A few times. That's why you didn't fall apart this time. Briggs joined them. We recovered everything, he said. Every playbook, every file. Full membership lists. Communications logs. Even a donor ledger. You cracked their spine. It won't stop the next group, Elijah said. No, Briggs admitted. But it makes them bleed first. That buys time. A federal agent approached them. Older guy. No visible badge. Clearance written in his eyes. Mr. Holloway, he said, nodding to Travis. We'd like to offer your son protective relocation. New identity. New start. Given what he's exposed, there's going to be backlash. Travis looked at Elijah. No, Elijah said before his father could speak. I'm not going into hiding. I'm not giving up my name. You sure? The agent asked. Yeah. If they're going to write lies about me, I'm going to keep telling the truth in my own voice. The agent gave a small smile. We'll keep a tail on you, then. As he walked away, Travis turned to Elijah. You know what you just did? Elijah nodded. Started the rest of my life. Travis didn't argue. He just sat beside his son, the two of them staring out at the barn, now surrounded in caution tape, floodlights, and agents combing through hard drives like treasure hunters. I never wanted this for you, Travis said quietly. I know, Elijah said. But I don't think you wanted it for you, either. Travis blinked. Elijah added, but you stood anyway. Now it's my turn. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Travis stood, helped Elijah to his feet, and said the simplest, hardest thing a father can say to a son. I trust you. Elijah nodded, his voice thick. Then help me figure out what comes next. Together, they turned and walked back toward the Suburban. Past the broken systems. Past the ruined lies. Into something new. Not safe. Not simple. But theirs. The Holloways returned to Jacksonville in silence. Not because they had nothing to say, because they'd said so much already. The words were still echoing in them. And besides, there was a different kind of conversation happening now. A quiet one. One you carry in your chest after you've stood in the fire and walked out different. It was only when they crossed into the city limits that Elijah finally broke the silence. You think it's over? No, Travis said. But I think we're ahead now. When they pulled into the driveway, the house looked unchanged. Same siding, same porch, same flag Travis had refused to take down, even when the neighbor from Fern Drive came knocking last year, asking if it might be more respectful to the community if he just hung an American flag and not that Marine thing. The flag stayed. Now, it hung heavy in the summer heat, limp but proud. Inside, the living room was clean. As if nothing had happened. But the mailbox was full. Elijah opened it and stared. Thick envelopes. Some marked urgent, others with no return address. Most of them from strangers. A few from colleges that weren't Stanford, letters of support wrapped around not-so-subtle offers to reconsider his future. Elijah dumped them all on the dining room table. Scanned the pile. Then pushed it away. I already know where I'm going, he said. Stanford's president made a personal call the next day. He apologized. Formally. On video. We failed to protect the integrity of a student's application, he said, eyes direct into the camera. More importantly, we failed to speak fast enough and loud enough when that student was targeted for being black and excellent and public. The statement was shared more than the original smear. For once, the correction traveled faster than the lie. Elijah didn't say much to the press. Just posted a single message. Still standing. Still going. See you in the fall. But what came next wasn't peace. It was pressure. The days blurred into one another. Elijah began preparing for college like any other student, packing boxes, buying books, registering for classes, but under the surface, there was no normal. Not anymore. Briggs called twice a week with updates. Valkyrie 99 was facing federal charges. The barn raid had shut down 2/3 of the digital extremist network she helped build. But another node had surfaced in Tennessee. Another in Utah. Copycats. Opportunists. They were changing tactics now, using anonymity like armor, virality as a weapon. You cracked the dam, Briggs told Travis one night. Now the water's coming. That meant surveillance never stopped. Roe pinged them weekly with firewall tests. Anna sent backup IDs, burner phones, even a panic protocol if Elijah ever found himself followed. Stanford's campus security got a quiet overhaul, with Travis consulted unofficially on layered threat deterrence. It was all necessary. But it made the air heavy. Elijah began waking at 3 a.m. every few nights. No nightmares. Just that wired feeling. Like something was coming. "You're waiting for the next shot," Travis said when he found his son pacing the hallway. "I just want it to be done." Travis gave him a long look. "You never stop looking over your shoulder. You just learn not to trip while doing it." Elijah stopped pacing. "Then teach me how." Travis nodded. "We start tomorrow." They trained. Not like before. This time, it wasn't just defense drills or psychological resistance exercises. It was strategy. Travis taught Elijah how to watch people, not just the room. How to read intentions. How to see the moment before it goes wrong. They sparred on Saturdays. Went silent camping on weekends to teach movement without noise. They practiced de-escalation. Built coded signals. Used real-world examples. At first, Elijah hated it. Then he got better. He grew leaner. Stronger. Not in a jock way, he didn't bulk up. He sharpened. He became aware of how he walked, where his eyes lingered, how quickly people judged. He learned when to speak. And when to let silence win. By July, he was ready. At least, Travis hoped he was. Because that's when the letter came. No envelope. No return address. Just a thin black folder placed on their porch at night. Inside, a printed screenshot of Elijah's video with his father. A map of Stanford's campus with 2 buildings circled. A note, "We are not done. We are only starting." It wasn't from Valkyrie. It was signed by someone new. Someone who wanted them to know the virus was still alive, and mutating. Travis handed the folder to Anna and Ro. Neither said much. But Ro's tone was darker than usual. "They're rebuilding," she said. "And they've figured out you're not just a threat. You're a blueprint." Elijah stared at the map. "Then they're coming to Stanford." "Yes," Travis said. "And so are we." Elijah's brows lifted. "What? You think I'm letting you walk into that place alone now?" Travis said. "No. I'll be there. Not in your classes. But close enough." Elijah's eyes narrowed. "You're moving to California?" "Not moving," Travis said. "Just repositioning." "You can't follow me around forever," Elijah said. "I won't," Travis said. "But I'll follow you long enough to make sure you never forget what you're capable of." They stood across from each other. 2 men now. One still learning what that meant. The other knowing it too well. "I'm not scared," Elijah said. "You will be again," Travis replied. "But it won't break you." He placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "You earned this life, Elijah. Now you protect it." Outside, a car rolled slowly past the house, its headlights off. Neither of them moved. They just watched. Then the car turned the corner and vanished. Elijah looked at his dad. "I'm ready." Travis nodded. "Then let's go find out what they're really afraid of." Stanford's campus shimmered beneath the late August sun. Red tile roofs, sandstone walls, students crisscrossing the quads with lanyards and iced coffees. It looked like peace. Like a promise. But for Elijah Holloway, walking across the palm-lined main quad with a backpack on his shoulders and 1,000 eyes on his name, it didn't feel like a fresh start. It felt like a front line. Everything had changed since the night of his graduation. But not the way you expect after a victory. The extremists hadn't vanished. They'd fractured, adapted, evolved. Like a virus. The barn raid had disrupted their operations. The video had shifted the narrative. But with every new supporter Elijah gained, a shadow grew behind him. Somewhere out there, they were watching. Waiting for him to slip. Or speak. Or rise too high again. Elijah wasn't afraid. Not exactly. He was ready. Behind him, 50 feet back and dressed like any other dad dropping off a student, Travis Holloway leaned on the hood of a dusty rental SUV. Ball cap, shades, hands folded calmly. He'd secured a consulting job with a private defense firm just outside Palo Alto. It wasn't an accident. He wasn't hovering. He was anchoring. This wasn't just a father watching his son begin college. This was a soldier watching a new kind of war begin. The first month passed quietly. No new threats. No new leaks. Just whispers. Students recognized Elijah. Some avoided him. Others admired him. A few tried to argue with him in the dining hall, baiting him with tired lines about merit and colorblind admissions. He didn't take the bait. He just walked away. He wasn't here to debate. He was here to build. His classes were intense. His professors mostly supportive. But he kept his circle small, by choice. He didn't need sympathy. He needed focus. Every night, he and Travis checked in, quick texts, short calls, sometimes just a look if they crossed paths near the bookstore or the old gym where Travis volunteered to teach veteran self-defense classes. It worked. Until the fire. It started as a silent alarm at 3:04 a.m. The Humanities Building. Minor smoke, no injuries. Or so the official report said. But Travis heard the real version from Anna, who was now embedded full-time with DHS cybercrime. There was a device, she told him over a secure line. Small, homemade. Someone wanted a fire, not casualties. It was about symbolism. Not destruction. What building? Travis asked. She hesitated. Elijah's English class meets there. Travis's stomach turned. And? Police found a note near the breaker box. Scorched. Most of it unreadable. Most of it? One word survived. She paused. Then said it, erase. They met in a quiet corner of campus the next morning. Elijah had already heard the rumors. Travis didn't waste time. They tried again, he said. Small? Testing us. Seeing if we're still paying attention. I'm not leaving, Elijah said immediately. I didn't ask you to, Travis replied. I came to tell you we don't react anymore. Elijah frowned. Then what do? We create. It was a word Elijah hadn't expected. Travis went on. They want to erase you? You outlive the erasure. You make your story louder than their lie. You don't fight them on their field. You bring them to yours. Elijah nodded slowly. Something clicked. He started writing. Not online. Not reaction posts or threads. He wrote essays. Speeches. Letters. Not just about what happened, but about the silence after. The burden of being expected to be resilient. The cost of surviving history and still being asked to explain it. He read parts of them aloud at open mics. Then classrooms. Then bigger rooms. By October, a Stanford administrator invited him to keynote a diversity forum. He said no. Then asked to host his own. A new series. Not about diversity. About legacy. The stories they tried to burn. It wasn't about victimhood. It was about inheritance. And it spread. Other schools asked to copy it. Then nonprofits. Then a publisher reached out. Elijah didn't say yes. Not yet. Because he was still building. Still sharpening. Still healing. One night in November, after a long day of class and writing and meetings, he walked out to the edge of campus where the hills rose like silent guards. The moon hung low. The air was crisp. He found Travis there, seated on a bench under a eucalyptus tree. Neither of them spoke right away. Then Elijah said, I had a dream last night. Travis looked up. I was back at graduation, Elijah said. But this time, when the guards came, you didn't stand up. You just watched. And I walked off the stage. What did it mean? Travis asked. I think it means I'm not scared anymore, Elijah said. Even if I'm alone. Travis nodded slowly. That's what I was waiting for. Elijah looked at him. To let go? To let you hold it. Travis reached into his coat pocket and pulled out something small. A flash drive. Elijah took it, confused. What's on this? Travis smiled. My story. Elijah's eyes widened. You finally wrote it down? No, Travis said. I spoke it. Into a recorder. Took me weeks. But it's yours now. If you want it. Elijah clutched the drive. I do. They sat in silence for a while after that. The wind moved through the trees, carrying scents of earth and dust and memory. Then Elijah stood. Looked out over the campus. I'm ready for what's next, he said. You always were, Travis replied. You just needed to bleed a little first. Elijah laughed once, quietly. And in that moment, in the dark and the calm, with the war still rumbling under the surface of the world, two things became clear. 1, the battle wasn't over. And 2, the Holloways weren't done. Not by a long shot. They'd been erased. Marked. Targeted. But they had stood. And now? Now they would rise.